Thank you for joining the Soul Sisters Cafe. Hello, world. Here we are with another podcast, and today we are navigating caretaking our aging mothers. I'm Jordan Blaquera.
I'm Tracey Gritz, and Jordan and I have quite a similar journey, and she is going to take us away on that adventure of momhood. Well,
adventures in our moms.
Yeah, the roller coaster.
Yes, and to give you a brief synopsis of our past relationships with our moms. They had acrimony, like most mother-daughter relationships. My mom is a single mom, and I'm just going to put it in a nutshell. There will probably be future episodes on these parts of the relationship, but there was acrimony. It was not like this. There was a time in childhood, and then after I was out of the house, which was right after high school, we just went, boo! And I just wanted my independence, and I wanted to be who I was, and I had all of that going on. So it definitely wasn't easy peasy before. And then we're going to get to the slice of our life, which is enter 50 years later. Mm-hmm. Where we are now, where my mom has Alzheimer's, and she came to live with me. She came to live with me almost a year and a half ago. Mm-hmm. And that's where we're at. So I'm going to talk about when that transition happened. So Trey, do you want to talk a little bit about your past relationship?
Yes. So Jordan had a lovely, close relationship with her mom growing up until it wasn't. And I pretty much never had that. Again, we will totally cover that in another episode, but some of our friends out there have been very close with their mothers and really have that bond with them. That was not my experience. Not that I don't love my mom, but if you fast forward to the age of 50, when my mom came out here to move, I live in North Carolina. I'm originally from California, and we moved her out here almost 2 years ago because she could no longer take care of herself. She's got multiple sclerosis. So we moved her she didn't move in with me. We moved her into a retirement community where she started out with caregivers and with me kind of trying to navigate that. So that's where I will step in. It's back to you.
Awesome. So I wanted to share, what happened was we got a diagnosis, and she was living on her own, but functioning Alzheimer's, functioning. So from where she was when she was living on her own till now, crazy the difference. So she wound up having a massive UTI. It put her on the floor of her place for 40 hours. So she had pressure wounds, and the infection was just overtaking her body. We didn't know that. And she wound up in the hospital, going straight to skilled nursing. And then it became very apparent. It was a bizarre moment to be like, she was living independently. How is it that, it just turned on a dime. It turned on a UTI.
Yes.
My life turned on a UTI. Yes. And this is apparently very common for seniors to have complications, and especially Alzheimer's, that just precipitates a radical decline, a steep decline.
I'm going to stop. I'm going to push, not stop, but I'm going to say yes, so that I don't have to say all that. That's exactly what happened, right? I mean, this is how miraculous our journey has always been through all of these 35 years. That pretty much the exact same thing happened. My mom had a UTI on the floor in California. My brother calls me, hey, she's been on the floor for 2 days, and she's in the hospital, and she had to go to skilled nursing, rehab. That's when we realized, oops, okay, she can no longer take care of herself, and so we're going to move her to North Carolina. Go.
Right? And that happened like 6 months before my situation. So we have mirrored in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. So she goes into skilled nursing. I'm there in those 30 days, probably 28 out of the 30 days. And I was like, anyway, TMI, too much information. but that is when the crazy realization is, oh my God, where does she live after this? Get her well, get her well, get her well. And she was in excruciating pain, but then she cannot go live on her own. So what's the next step? We navigate that. She comes and lives with us to shortcut the story. And how I approached it, I wanted to just share the macro view, complete adjustment for her to come live with me. David and I live here, and then here she is. She's living in one of our bedrooms, and that's a massive adjustment. Taking care of her finances, making decisions for her, such an adjustment. Having someone in your space, caring for them, and right after skilled nursing, there was a lot of home health, so there were so many appointments, and then there was, please do these exercises with her. She cannot be responsible for doing them on her own. She didn't have the capacity to compute all of that. And my macro approach was, this is here for me. And you've probably heard that in so many self-help circles. Mm-hmm. This experience is here for me. Or if someone gets, their spouse says, I want a divorce, you're in shock. You're having all of your human reactions, all of it. And yet kind of here is an umbrella. Mm-hmm. This is here for me in some way. It's a beneficent universe. Mm-hmm. It's a loving universe. This is here for me. And it sounds horrible, right? How can mental decline, how can your mother losing all of her memories be here for you? But when I look at my past, I've had Tracey and I, which will be in future episodes. I hope you're down for it, Trey, to talk about our friendship.
Oh yeah.
Right? The ups and the downs.
Oh yes.
Painful experiences that were here for our growth. Hard as a mofo to go through.
Amen, sister. My soul sister, amen. Do I hear an amen?
Right? Uh-huh. Hard as heck to go through, but for us, and jobs that I've had that felt like Mack trucks coming at me. I just couldn't get a grip. I felt like my fingernails on a brick wall, just slipping down. I was barely getting through the day. And yet so many gifts. And so over time, I've taken up as much as I can to embrace the gifts as I'm going through, and to know that there are going to be gifts. So instead of it having to get into the rearview mirror by 6 months, 6 years before I can appreciate what that experience gave me, I would say for a good long time, 10 years, 11 years, I've really focused on embracing as much as I can. There's going to be a silver lining to this. There's going to be something, some great takeaway. There's going to be something that really benefited me. I will be able to see it in hindsight. Mm-hmm. So can I see it in current sight? Can I somehow at least be more open, less resistant, looking for the lessons, looking for the growth, looking for the benefits along the way, instead of fighting, struggling my way through it, only to reap those benefits in the past. Right. So I've had that with my weight. I've had that with jobs. I've had that with our relationship. I've had that with David. And I did it with Alzheimer's. And I was like, I will mine this experience for that. So that was my approach, which I don't, which is kind of my mindset for life right now. Mm-hmm. So I don't even know like the old way where it's just, fight my way through it and commiserate my way through it with my friend and complain my way through it. Like I don't even know the old way, but I think that was extremely beneficial for me.
Yes.
So where do you want to dive in on this?
Well, I'm going to dive in with when my mom came. I did not like you. I wasn't looking at it with so much love, so much awareness. I was definitely, I mean, to an extent, but not with the awareness that you were. Definitely. Way more, I could see things, I could understand things. I was trying to navigate them, but I don't remember looking at it going, I know this is here for me. I mean, I'm sure I would think I would have, but that was not an overriding sense like it was for you. Like it is for you. You have this, you know that when she came out here, you were like, okay, this is here for me. And I don't know that I really had that, so I didn't have that much awareness around that. And I do really feel like I was trying to keep my head above water. That's really how I felt, like trying to keep my head above water. So, and navigate, because Jordan's an only child and I have a brother. So she has no sibling to either. That's either the good news or the bad news.
So true. So true.
So I'm kind of in cahoots with my brother trying to figure stuff out, and I'm trying to figure stuff out on my own. And like Jordan, my mom had been taking care of everything, and I realized when she went down and when she was in the hospital, she could take care of nothing, that she had let everything go, her meds, her money, just everything. She couldn't comprehend it anymore. Multiple sclerosis for some people does affect their cognitive ability. So I'm learning all this, like Jordan was learning all this, and now I'm faced with a reality that I did not know existed, because I thought she was able to completely be fine, and then I'm faced with the reality that she actually has really very little cognitive ability when it comes, and navigating those waters. I really do felt like, for me more so, I was just trying to keep my head above the water. So there you go.
All right. So I want to just interject a little story. So I was preparing for this podcast, and I had done a document, and moms, right? 50 years of being a daughter. There's so much to talk about. So even in talking about navigating an aging mom, there's so many aspects. So I realized this could be a very long podcast. Let me break this up. So I sent an email to Tracey, and I said, so, if this sings to you and resonates with you, dive in. So she says, okay, I added something to the document. I think it is like 2 parts. I'm just going to add something. So what she adds is 2 lines. She says, the stepping stones, self-care, radical honesty, and healing resentment. That allowed me to lovingly navigate my mom for the past 1.5 years. And I'm like, oh, I think self-care is its own episode. Radical honesty is its own episode. And healing resentment. I was like, I wasn't going to go on to healing resentment. I thought we'd save that for another time. So she just thought she'd throw that in. Just throw all that into
I know, right? Because I'm here. I'm like, oh my gosh, these people are going to think, all our friends out there are going to be thinking, oh gosh, aren't they the nicest daughters? And they don't have all those issues I do with my mom. Well, let me tell you, that is so not the case.
Oh yeah, we have a history. We would like commiserate.
Oh my gosh,
we would
totally
phone calls over.
My mom kicked Jordan and Dave out of their house
because she was our landlord.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And not because we were awful.
No, they lived there for 100 years. Were the best tenants, and I mean, we have stories. So the idea of, like, when my mom moved out 1.5 years ago, who I was to be able to navigate for her was a completely different daughter than I was 10 years ago, or could have navigated that 10 years ago. So it definitely took some work there we go. So that's what, so yeah, Jordan's like, I'm not too sure about this, Tracey. And she's always trying to be so nice so that she doesn't hurt my feelings or piss me off. I don't know which one. Did a great job.
Added something to the document. Healing resentment, radical honesty, just a couple things. Self-care. Let's just see if we can pop those into the episode.
Totally. Lifetime. Oh my God.
So
I'm not even too sure how the hell I was going to do it so quickly, but for somehow some miracle was going to happen, and we were just going to pop those puppies right in.
Right.
I knew you would know how to do
resentment in 3 easy steps. Tracy and Jordan.
And this will solve all your problems.
That's right.
It's like the Vita Vita Vegemin. Oh, it just went.
Right.
Oh my God, that was hysterical. Yeah. So we digress,
tell me about.
Do we digress? Is it digress or regress? See,
but we're coming back.
She's the smart one. She's a super smart one. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so when
I gotta dab my eyes. You make me cry. I laugh. Oh my God! Okay. I gotta dab. Oh. Okay, where are we?
Tell me about. You mentioned earlier, before we started recording, about your brother and what will people think and what will he think, and what were some of the initial challenges that you start. Here she is. She's in your town. You've all of a sudden become the primary point of contact. What's going on? What are you facing?
Yeah, this is so some of it is just not pretty, and y'all can just judge away. Judge. Because I'm just going to be the whole truth right here. So when my mom moved out, and God love my brother if he's going to listen to this. Good thing we're really close. When my mom moved out, my mom was a full-time job getting her moved in, navigating her caregivers. I actually had no idea what a mess her finances were, and she had no idea what her passwords were and where all the money was, and on doctors. And she had ailments that had been going on in California that she needed to see doctors for. So I felt like I had a list a mile long, and I felt like it was a full-time job. So here I am trying to do my work, be the wife, have my quote unquote life, and I have this other full-time job. So what I wanted everybody to know how hard this was. This was this was really hard. And so I would text my brother and I would say, this is what I did today. I did this, and this. Because really what I wanted was him to say, oh my gosh, totally, I see how hard you're working and how much work that is. Now, keep in mind, my mom lived 1 block from him in California. He was up there all the time helping her change the remote on the TV. It wasn't like he didn't have any idea. He did a lot when she was in California. But I realized I would just constantly think about, this is what would go on in my mind, what I did so that I could justify how much time I was with my mom. So I could justify how difficult things were. And
can I ask a question?
All the time.
So you wanted to justify how difficult things were. Why?
Okay, so I wanted to justify it because I'm not working now. So now I'm like, okay, I'm hardly working. My career is suffering financially. We are. And basically, I wanted him to know that, this is not working full time or working and doing mom to the extent, or it's not possible. It actually was not. To do it to how she needed it was not possible to work as much as I did. And so therefore something's got to give. Either I'm working less, my husband Larry's going to be taking over more, things are going to be tighter because and I was out for a month when my mom was out for a month. So I was in California for a month. So anyway, so then if he knew this, then he would really know how financially challenging this was, how emotionally challenging this was, what I was sacrificing. Yeah. So that he could then say, Tracey, if you don't, whatever you need to support yourself, fortunately, my mom can afford her lifestyle. And I just was like, I don't want any of her money because I'm taking care of. This was a whole challenge, right? Is here I am really not working, was out there for a whole month. And then when she came here, was out for almost 3 months just trying to get her stuff together. And now there's no income coming in. And I'm like, okay, so how does that work? How do we navigate this? And feeling frustrated with I'm worried about what my husband's going to think too. And so then do I have the funds pay me partly to offset that? But then I'm needing my brother to know. So it was wrapped up in money. It was wrapped up in how much work it was. It was wrapped up in how much I was sacrificing again. And I know how much he did as well. And certainly not against what he had to do out there when she was out there.
And I'll just say, I mean, I can totally relate, because there's like, well, you should just, all the shoulds, so many shoulds. I should I'm her only daughter. I should be doing this. There shouldn't be any financial remuneration. And yet it's affecting livelihood. It's taking up time. And then, but then all the self-doubt. Am I dragging this out? Am I doing it as efficiently as I could? Or am I justifying?
Yes.
And there's no, I don't know of any mentors out there, like examples out there, and we're trying to navigate it with our heart, with love, with compassion for ourselves and for the patient, as it were, who is our mom.
Yeah.
And it's there's not really a roadmap. There's not really a roadmap. And so, I mean, the roadmap is in our heart somewhere, right? If we can find it, and that knowing, and so I can relate to how it's a gnarly mess. It's a gnarly mess.
And we talked about remuneration, and, you were really helpful through that. Just my whole thoughts about it, because I did think I'm her daughter and I should just do it. I should, we should live very, poorly, because I should be able to, because she's my number one. My mom is my, she's my, that's who I'm taking care of. Her health is not going to, at any expense, not really any expense, but for the most part, almost at any expense, I want my mom to do well. I want the best for my mom, genuinely. So the remuneration and the guilt of is that just wrong for a kid?
Let's go travel a little bit, because it's been a year and a half, from what will people think, and from wanting to text your brother certain things, and where do you sit now with that? And can you tell a little bit about that journey?
Yeah, I would say it took about 3 months for me to wake up. I mean, pretty much 3, which is a short time. Thank God. Took me 3 months to go, okay, so I'm just knee deep in feeling like I'm drowning. I don't love this. I don't love this for my mom. And how do I take care of me and honor me? So one of the things at that time, Jordan and I were doing a weekly dose of Matt Kahn's Whatever Rises, Love That. And it was really about loving ourselves through stuff and honoring the truth of the situation. And I realized I had this internal alarm clock where I just would keep having conversations of things I wanted to tell my family, my aunt, her sisters, because because I knew they were judging me on how things went down and all that stuff. So like I would be justifying things, having conversations, right? Don't you love having conversations in your head?
They're the worst. They're the worst.
Oh my gosh.
They're the worst.
Right. And they go on, and then I forget, and then I'm believing I'm having these conversations in my head, and then I'm like, okay, I just had a conversation in my head. And I'm stressed out. So
your aunt is like reaming you a new one or something?
Yeah, right. And I'm telling her why we're doing everything and why,
Yes, right. You're justifying yourself.
Yeah. So then I was like, oh, okay. And so then what I would do is I would do the Matt Kahn, right? I would say, I hear you. So I would say to Tracey, whatever I would just be saying to my brother, I would say, I hear you.
Mm.
Tracey, I'm here for you. I love you. You're doing a great job with your mom. You love her, and you're navigating these waters as well as you can. So every time I would catch myself doing the song worm. Did you tell me about song worm, Jordan? You know, when a song goes on and on in your head like 9,000 times, it's called a song worm. Well, this was like conversation worms, justification worms, conversations that happen time and time again. So I would, as soon as I noticed that thought worm, I would say, hey, I hear you. I hear you, Tracey. I hear you. I know this is really hard. And I would give myself the words. I would say to me the words that I wanted from other people.
I totally remember that with you.
Right?
She did. She did. It was week after week after week. And then she would catch herself wanting to send that text or wanting to write an email. Yes. And it was to get validation. It was to get someone to approve of her and to pat her on the head and to say, yes, good job. I see how hard you're working. And then she would turn it inward and treating it right, small child, like small child Tracey.
Totally. Small child. Yes.
And yeah. And it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful because it's like a bottomless well. You can't, of emptiness.
Yes.
When you want it from someone else and it's so needy. And I can't relate. This is only Tracey's problem. Only Tracey's problem.
This is foreign to everybody out there.
But I remember the week after week, the reports that you would tell me in all those moments. This happened with my mom, and I totally saw myself wanting to write text. Yes. And where it was coming from in you, that neediness and that lack that was in you, and then how you would take it into a meditation.
Oh my gosh, yourself. Totally. And I don't know if you remember this. There's one day when I was saying it again, blah, 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 you know, what I needed to say to myself for the millionth time. And I said to myself, for the love of God, how much more do you need, Tracey?
Yes.
I heard that voice in my head.
Yes, I remember.
And I was like, oh, I had heard it. And then I was like, whatever, you know, like it was just, but then I heard it again loud enough that I was able to say, this was significant for me. This was a game changer. And when I heard that voice, I turned to that voice and I said, I will never leave you, Tracey. I love you and I'm always here for you. And however many times you need to tell me this, or you need affirmation, or you need me to know how much I love you, I am here for you and I will never turn my back on you. I might forget sometimes, but I will never turn my back on you. And that was a game changer right there. So God love my mother for that gift.
Right. I totally remember that. And the words that are ringing in my mind from that were as long as it takes. As long as it takes. And that's what we want to know. That's what that inner part of us wants to know, because it's conditional. It's like, okay, well, I can put up with your nagging and your, your neediness for, okay, maybe like 3 months and then like a quarter. That's it, Yes. 3 months out of the year.
Yeah.
And then we need to be done with this, Tracey. But you, to take all the conditions off. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's so loving. It's so loving. It's not the way that I had been experiencing myself either. And, to have the situations, the requirements come up so that we can grow into that person that will be there for us. And that was yes, absolutely an amazing moment when you heard that and you declared that to yourself and you decided for yourself, that's who I will be for myself.
And those voices still would come up often, but now hardly ever do I have these conversations in my head anymore. Because I think I just when we heal these parts of us, when we honor them, we keep looking, right? As you know, we're looking for somebody else to say the words that our heart wants to hear. But the person who has the medicine, the person who has the healing powers is us.
Yes.
We are our own balm. We can heal us like no other. No matter how many times my brother said, I hear what you're saying, I hear what you're going through. No matter how many times he would have ever said that, I still would have needed more and more because my well was not filled up on my own. I had not been filling that well because my heart needs my words, needs me. Right? Jordan, you're better at that. Tell me can you explain that better?
Well, the image that just came up is like saying, I'm so hungry. I'm famished.
Yes.
I'm ready for a meal. And then your friend or your mother or your relative or whoever, they eat the meal and you're like, I'm so famished. Like they can't eat for you. They can never satiate you. They can never nourish you. You have to eat. You have to do that for yourself. My stomach is growling. Like, yes, please do that for me right now, for yourself. You get a message?
That would be so nice.
But where someone can't do that. I also had an analogy of a cup of a straw, like the abundance of the universe, or an emotion, joy, happiness, whatever it is. And you have your own straw and you need to drink from the straw. But what we do is we look at the other cups and the other straws and we want them to sip for us or to do something and we blame them for how we can't sip, but we've got a crink in our straw, but we don't uncrinkle our own straw so we can sip. But you have a straw, you have to drink your straws in your own cup. You have to drink from your own straw. No one can drink for you. No one can eat for you. And so, filling your own well, loving yourself. No one can love you for you. That's an inside job. That's our job for ourselves. So the first thing is to realize, I've been going, hey, drink my smoothie. Come on, to someone else when I'm not drinking my own smoothie. I'm not drinking my own from my own cup.
And I'm wanting everybody else to say they approve of me, but I'm not approving of me. I'm not giving myself that. I can't, right? I'm not giving myself. I'm wanting my brother to approve. I'm wanting my aunts to approve. And I'm going, am I doing enough? I should be doing more. But what about this? But she was upset with me about this. And so now I am not approving of me. So I keep going out there. So then every time I said, hey, I hear you. Now I'm approving of myself. So now I'm eating my own food, as you would say.
Right.
Now I'm eating my own meal. I'm not waiting for everybody else to approve of me. Because I'll tell you, I'm not hanging my mom up by her toenails. I'm doing the best I can, just like you still are.
Right.
We're, for the love of the Lord, we're just doing the best we can all the time. So
yes.
Amen.
So I feel that I'm complete for now. There is so much more to say.
Yeah.
But totally. I think for this episode, I'm complete. How about you?
Absolutely. I think those are big things. I hope that our friends can have some peace, or maybe a little bit of peace, just knowing like it is, navigating parents is not easy.
No.
And it is here for us.
Oh my God.
It is here for us. So
such a transition, such a maturation process. It asks so much of us.
Yes.
And if you've been on a self-help journey or a seeker's journey, it will call all of that into play. It was going to, like, coach, put me in the game. Oh yeah. Bring on an aging parent. You're in the game. You're off the bench. And you're going to have to use all those drills that you've done.
Totally.
All that knowledge that you've acquired. It's time to embody.
Amen.
Hopefully.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm good.
So we'll continue on this topic in the next episode.
Yes.
We'll see you there.
Bye.